Hola, bienvenidos, we're back.
It's been almost 2 months. We're closing in on 2 months. No episode. This is like the longest stretch we've had.
I know, and surprisingly, like our downloads have still been going strong. So we've got to thank you, the listeners out there, for continuing to listen and keep it going.
We got nothing. Yeah. The only stretch that was longer without us dropping an episode was the time before we started. Think about that. Before Common Era, right? BCE or what is it? BCAD, but then the other was BCE and then CE before Common Era. After
yes,
yeah, right.
Of course,
yeah.
Before our Common Era. Huh?
Yeah, I paid attention at some point in some type of history class.
Exactly.
Well, if you follow us on the Instagram, you saw that we posted. We're taking a quick break, and we promised it was for a good reason. And so now we want to talk about the reason, but we also want to reflect on the last 6 years in mental health. So it'll be kind of a two-parter today. We're going to reflect on what's gone on since we started the show, and we just want to share a little bit about what the fuck we've been doing. Where the fuck have we been at? So I think we should start there. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Go ahead.
Back in March, we were approached by a lady named Becky, who works for our new friend, and yes, a very good friend, who works for a company called Sword Health, and they were looking for some very handsome men, podcasters, or they called us the talent. Which we thought was very funny.
But it was funny.
They were looking for people to record mental health educational videos, and so they actually reached out to us. So after agreeing to it, we found out that we would actually be filming in Porto, Portugal.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
Huge surprise.
Yeah, we were pretty pumped. We're like, wait, we get to like... And they paid us, so it was like a paid gig, which is huge for podcasters. And we were like, oh, we get to go somewhere and like go to a really cool place. So, like Porto was beautiful.
My first time in Europe, so that was a very cool introduction. I think the other thing with Sword Health, we should plug them at least a little bit. Sword Health is a kind of like health wellness tech company. They specialize in at-home physical therapy. They also have a big section of like women's health and women's wellness. So that's a big portion of what they do. And they also have this thing called Academy. And in Academy, they have a ton of just content, whether it's physical therapy related, whether it's women's health and wellness. They just have a ton of content. And so that's kind of where Justin and I came in. They have some mental health content. They wanted to expand it. And we're very lucky that Becky has actually been one of our listeners for a chunk of time. I think in the email she sent us, it was back when I had a shitty mic, and that was a while ago. So she's been listening for a long time. So again, shout out to Becky for reaching out, thinking of us, and because of that, we got to do a pretty cool thing. We spent about a week in Porto, Portugal, 3 days of work. We had a great production crew. We filmed a bunch of content, filmed and we recorded some. So I think all in all, Justin, you recorded about 8 episodes. I think I did 7 or 8. We did for the first time, I don't know if we can really talk about no one said we couldn't. We're not giving specifics. We did a very cool, like, pretty much long form video podcast for them. We recorded some audio stuff. We just did a ton of stuff. We've never done this before, anything like this. We had hair, we had makeup, we had wardrobe. It was the whole shebang, as some would say. It was everything. Again, super cool experience just to get to fly to Porto, Portugal together, which was super. I mean, Justin and I talked about this in the time of our show. We've seen each other in person like 3 times, 2 times.
That's it.
So, and for a portion of the show, it was COVID, and we'll talk more about COVID in a little bit. But for a portion of the show, nobody could leave their house. So there's that too. We've only seen each other a couple of times. So not only to get to see each other again, we got to bring our significant others. We got to spend time together. The hospitality, everything was there. It was fucking cool. So anyway, if again, a plug to Sword Health, if you may have it as part of your employer provided benefits, you should look into it. They're great. They were amazing to work with. It was cool. It was hard work. I would say it definitely pushed us. It was different for us.
Yes.
It was definitely a new experience. But man, it was really fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, just we walked in the first day and they had an entire room full of clothes for us. And they're like, all right, we've got all these different outfits that we want to try. It's like a lot of the first day was just like trying on outfits. And ironing was a big deal when we were in Porto.
We couldn't get wrinkled.
Yeah, we couldn't like sit down because we couldn't wrinkle our clothes. And we had like multiple outfits, and in between takes we'd have to iron them again, and we were just like constantly ironing clothes throughout the entire day.
When it was my turn to film, I didn't sit down pretty much until it wasn't film time, because I didn't want to have to go through the take off your pants, iron thing. It was a whole thing. So that's what we were doing. So I think before we continue, we do want to just shout out the crew and everybody that was involved. I mean, we spent 3 days together in no particular order other than the order of how everyone was lined up in the picture we took. If you want to see more behind the scenes pictures, go to our Instagram. You know what it is, @MillennialMHC. We had some really cool just behind the scenes pictures that they shared with us. Super cool. What an experience. So in order of that, we had Ricardo, Ashley, Eric number 1, Becky, Raquel, Chris, Sergio, Eric number 2, Antonio, and Sophia. All a great crew. They took really good care of us. Took us to lunch every day. One of the days was raining. They took us in a car, even though the restaurant was like down the street, because they didn't want our hair to get wet. Like we felt special. We felt important. We had a great time. Just fucking thank you to the whole team. It was fucking cool.
It was cool. Yeah, we kind of felt like movie stars. We were treated incredibly well, and everyone was so cool. Yeah. Almost the entire team was from Portugal, and so they were all bilingual. They spoke English great. And there was one girl, Krish, from Brazil. And so it was so cool getting to actually meet people and get to spend quality time with people from a different country and see what they're interested in. And they were all movie people too. So boy, did I have fun nerding out and talking about movies over lunch and everything with them. But it was great. And I wanted to give one huge shout out to Eddie too, because we started out filming his day, and no knock to you at all, but I could tell you were a little bit nervous and you were moving kind of quick. And they're for the mental health videos. They're like, okay, we got to be nice and calm and relaxed. And you were struggling a little bit at the beginning, but then you just crushed it. You just like hit your stride. You got all your videos done. Everything sounded great. You were crushing it. And then you went home that night or went back to the hotel and got super sick. So after a long day of filming, you were standing on your feet for like 8 hours straight under the lights, reading the teleprompter, and then you went home and puked your brains out all night. And we had to have another full day of recording the next day too. And you manned up. You took it like a champ. And I couldn't believe that you got through that and crushed it.
Nobody could tell I was sick the night before. It was great. Until I said something at lunch when I couldn't eat because I wasn't feeling great. But yeah, like I said, I mean, it was new. It pushed us in different ways. I'd never done anything like that. But again, shout out to the crew for bearing with us, bearing with me as we work through that. I like to call it my Michael Jordan flu game for the third day, because we just had to make it happen. It was the last day. We had to do it. It was together. And so I am glad, honestly, that we got to do the together part for the last day to really just crush that and have a good time. And so, yeah, we're excited for the stuff to come out. Whatever Sword Health shares social media-wise, we can share with you all. Other than that, though, you need to be a Sword Health consumer, participant, customer. So if you'd like to see the rest, you should definitely join Sword Health. We'll plug them. Free plug, because they took really good care of us.
They did. They really did.
Oh, yeah. And then the very last thing, sorry, I don't know if you're going to say it, but I would love to say it, because I noticed this while we were doing it, I think. The very last day of recording was on our 6-year anniversary of our first ever episode going live. So that felt pretty magical and special. So we do want to point that out. That was pretty fucking cool. That just on that, I don't know, 6 years ago, I was sitting in my friend Carson and Mel, both of their spare bedroom, because I lived with them, with a foldable table on my bed, sitting with my computer and a microphone, and then 6 years later, we're in fucking Porto, Portugal, recording content and shit. Like, what the hell? Crazy. You've moved since then. Like, there's just so much shit has changed. Like, what the hell, man?
I know, right? 6 years is a long time. It's crazy that. Yeah, we were recording that last day. We were recording the podcast, and Eddie just leans in and goes, "You know what today is?" And I was like, "No, what's today?" Because I'm terrible with dates.
Don't worry, I had to look it up and confirm like the night before.
Oh yeah,
or maybe the morning of. Night before was rough, but yeah. I mean, it's just magical, poetic, whatever you want to call it. One last shout out before we jump into it. Natalie and Greg, two friends of mine. Natalie, I'm sorry that it took this long for us to come up with another episode. So the episode is dropping soon. I hope you enjoy it. Natalie's been listening to us, and so. Shout out to her for listening and for being patient for our newest episode. But again, that's what we were doing. We're in Portugal. We're back to our regularly scheduled every 2-ish weeks. And we're happy. We're excited. We've been looking forward to today. So, yeah. What did I say the second part was going to be? We're going to reflect.
We're going to reflect.
It's time to reflect. Yeah.
Last 6 years.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's start off
changed? Your address? A lot.
A lot has changed. Yeah, a lot has changed. I used to live in Omaha, Nebraska when this
there it is.
first started. But, probably the biggest thing that changed in the last 6 years is that we actually started the podcast right before COVID. 4 or 5 months before the pandemic hit.
I'm going to just say we were a pre-COVID podcast. So that's very important to me that we acknowledge that because a lot of podcasts came out during COVID. We were before that. We have the timestamps to prove it.
And man, I've been seeing so many memes of like, hey, when was COVID? And people are like, 2 years ago. Oh, 3 years ago. It's like, no, it was 6 years ago.
It's crazy.
Like, it's starting to get crazy how much in the past it is now.
Yeah.
And reflecting on that time and starting to realize how much different things are before and after the pandemic. So, yeah, what do you think was like the biggest change for you from the pandemic? How did life change the most?
Fuck, man. You know, where do I want to start? I do want to say and acknowledge that COVID is still a thing that we deal with right to this day, and it still impacts people's lives in varying ways, right? Depending on if you get the vaccine preventatively, what you do in your life, if you're around people a lot. So we do want to at least acknowledge that it's not like over. It's a part of our daily lives. But I think I don't know. I feel like you probably had a maybe similar experience. I went to work like every day. Like I never really had an opportunity to work from home. I don't want to say had an opportunity because I made it seem like this like super sweet thing. I just didn't I worked community mental health when it first started. I remember we tried to space out when people would come into the office. I think I just went every day. We had this weird rule where if you worked from home, you had to send in an Excel spreadsheet of what you did in that day. So like, if I'm just going to sit around, I'll just do it at work. So I don't have to do that. But I still worked every day. At some point I did get to work from home, but then shortly after I transitioned to a hospital, same thing. I worked in person every single day. And so I think in terms of work, it didn't change a whole lot other than like masking. We had to wear like eyewear for a little bit or goggles. It was a whole thing. And I could go on the behind the scenes stuff that went on during work. But then, I transitioned to where I'm at now at a high school. The first school year that I worked was still masks. So we're still all wearing a mask. So that was interesting, for the first chunk of time until I think March of that school year. So I don't know. I mean, maybe really the biggest thing was like personally and socially. I didn't go home for a long time. I didn't go home for like maybe like a year. I think the last time I'd been home was Christmas 2019. And so I didn't go home for like a year and a half. So that was pretty hard too, right? Not to see my family. Kevin was living in Oregon, but we spent like 10 weeks apart because we didn't know what to do. In person, I had to miss your guys' wedding because I was working at the hospital, right? Like, probably personally and socially, now that I'm saying it out loud, probably the biggest things that were impacted. Like, we weren't seeing a lot of people. It was, I don't know, man. You tell me what's changed for you or what's gone on for you, because now I'm reflecting of like there were some parts that were like kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being kind of paranoid about getting COVID because there were just so many questions at the beginning. And I remember going to the grocery store right when it was starting to set in and looking at the shelves, and they were like empty.
No toilet paper.
Yeah, no TP. So I bought a bidet. I always tell people, work smarter, not harder when it comes to wiping. But yeah, going to the grocery store and there was just like nothing on the shelves, and I was like, "Oh, this is serious. Like this is something like I had never seen that before in the United States, where like the shelves in the store were just empty." So that was kind of like my first clue that, man, this is kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. I remember because Omaha was kind of a hot spot because that was where that I think it was like that plane that was coming over from a place that they had like confirmed positives, and so people had to quarantine in Omaha for a while. Yeah. So we were all worried that we were going to be like spreaders, especially because I was in the hospital system there too. I remember going for a run on a trail by my house and thinking like, is the virus on the trail? Like, am I going to pick it up on my shoes and bring it home?
Dude, we didn't know shit.
Yeah.
What was going on, right? Like everything. We had Dr. Rage on, and like for him, it was like things were popping off every single day in the hospital during his residency, and he still didn't have all the answers. So I mean, there'd be times where I'd take a deep breath and be like, "Oh, I was paranoid too." It was, man, that was for sure. I mean, that put us in a tough spot. I mean, that puts it way too lightly, but that was, yeah. And when we were in Porto and we were at lunch one day, I asked the crew, I was like, how about like a nice light topic here? Like, how was COVID for you guys? Hearing the European perspective on it too is really interesting because apparently Portugal was one of the worst, if not the worst spot in the world because it just ran through their nursing homes. Yeah. And just people were dying by the dozens, by the hundreds in nursing homes. Yeah. So you could just see the trauma in their faces that, man, this connected the world in a way where everyone was going through this hard time, this uncertainty. Back home, we were seeing all the videos. I remember watching videos of Italy, and their hospitals and ICUs had been overrun, so people were just dying because they couldn't get care. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So it was a scary time. Yeah. Hearing the European perspective on the United States was fun too. It was like, yeah, we do suck. Yeah, I'm glad you guys know that. But currently, a couple other things. I mean, really, and nah, fuck, I'm not even gonna say that part. I was gonna say not to make it political. Fuck that. It doesn't matter. I mean, but it really highlighted a lot of bad shit in the U.S. Right? Like, it highlighted systemic issues, and not just like healthcare wise, right? Not just access to healthcare, but like socially, racially, right? There was the very, I don't want to say this, the very viral, I guess, probably not the best word to use, the very easily seen murder of George Floyd. Like, that was a huge thing that happened during that time, and the protests that happened after. The rise in Asian hate crimes because of, the virus originating in China, and how the president at the time and the current president was a real piece of shit about it and said really fucked up things about people from China, and then people would just take that as Asian people in general. Like, that was huge things that were going on at the time, right? So it was definitely a huge thing that wasn't just like a medical health thing, but it really highlighted a lot of systemic issues that we've had in the United States and continue to have, unfortunately, that really haven't, maybe things have gotten better, maybe they've gotten worse, we've maybe taken a step back in the last 12-ish months, but it really highlighted a lot of things, and I really think that I don't want to say helped, but that really maybe put people in a position to see like we need to try to make some changes. And I think I see on TikTok a lot this like question of like, what's the thing that radicalized you? And I think we could say COVID really radicalized a lot of people into like not being okay with what's going on.
True. I was trying to think of like maybe some good things that came out of COVID. I think the fact that we were able to get a vaccine out pretty quickly was pretty amazing. And that was a pretty bipartisan effort too, or it was a lot of people working together to get a vaccine out. So I think that was pretty cool. But man, it definitely seems like COVID was the catalyst for our growing social media and technology addiction problems as a society. That before that, there wasn't much of an idea of, okay, this isn't too much of a problem, people aren't addicted. But after COVID, I think a lot of people got a taste for, well, when there's nothing else to do and all I have is my phone and it's my only way to like connect with people, people saw what the depths were when all you have is your phone and you're on it for 9+ hours a day.
Yeah. Well, and then you think too of like distance learning. Distance learning wasn't with a pen and paper. It was on the computer, right? It was Zoom. I'm already on the computer. I might as well do this and that. And so, I mean, to highlight one thing or to mention one thing, we'll skip ahead a little bit. We'll come back to social media. But one maybe positive thing that we can talk about is the increase of use of telehealth. I feel like that started to make healthcare a little more accessible to people. Not even just mental health or therapy, but just you can do like primary care appointments, or you can ask a question to your doctor via telehealth, right? Like that, I feel like that was a positive, and that's something that's stuck around a lot. I have thoughts on it, but it's stuck around.
It got a lot of boomers to be forced to learn this technology so that they had to actually start doing it. And then, so it changed the world for younger people, because younger people were mostly using it already. But being able to do school online, doctor's appointments online, all this stuff changed in some good ways. It's so funny. I talk to young people. Some of them love doing online school. Some of them just can't focus on it whatsoever. Yeah. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but it's a nice option for some people. And, you know, I got kind of a 50-50 response with a lot of my ADHD kids that I work with, where some of them, like, they can't focus at all on teleschool or online school, but other kids, they can go at their own pace. They don't have to wait for the class to catch up with them, because a lot of times ADHD kids are quick. Their brains move fast and they get bored in school, and that's what gets them in trouble. And so to have that option of being able to do something online that they can take at their own pace is a huge thing for them. And I see a lot of kids thriving with it. So that's a huge thing that just did not exist before old COVID-19.
Yeah. And I'll say, not to toot our own horn too much, but me and the school counselors that I work with, because of telehealth, we have a whole office in our counseling center dedicated to telehealth appointments. So now students don't have to leave school for the day, and they can still have their appointment. They can come down to the center, have their appointment in our office, and then leave. And who would have thought of squeezing in a therapy appointment in between algebra 2 and biology? Like that's pretty great. That's pretty accessible. I mean, kids nowadays, high school kids, you're pretty busy with school, right? You're 8:30 to 3:30 every day. Like, if you could squeeze in a therapy appointment, it kind of opens up some more access to care. So I think that's been a positive for sure. And it's stuck around a lot, right? And I know there's some pushback maybe with some insurance providers of like, oh, first appointment needs to be in person, or some pulled back a little bit with telehealth. But overall, I mean, I see my therapist telehealth wise. Shout out Sam. They're great. But, you know, telehealth is still here to stay, I think, at least for the time being.
For sure. It showed that it was possible, it was doable, and some people really like it. So I think insurance companies had to adapt, because, if my understanding is that a lot of telehealth options weren't possible because the insurance companies refused to pay for it.
Yeah.
But after the pandemic, it's like, okay, cat's out of the bag. We kind of have to start doing this.
Can't go back now. I mean, think of how many therapists, mental health counselors were able to move to, now this is where I kind of have my own thoughts and I don't need to share them here, but move to like a fully online practice. I mean, that's pretty helpful for a lot of people that thrive in that telehealth world, whether as the provider or the consumer, the client or patient. So, yeah. Let's go back a little bit. Social media. Yeah.
Talk social media. But I kind of want to take a different direction here and just say,
tell me.
6 years of this show, how has it been important to you in your life? Like, what do you think? Why are you happy? Why are you grateful for MMHC?
Because I get to talk to you like every 2 weeks. No, I mean, obviously that, and I mean that sincerely, but maybe some other positives for me has been that not forced, but it is, but I enjoy it. So that's why I don't feel it's forced. I think it's made me sharper as a clinician because I have to continue to know things, whether it's just through work and learning like teenager things like I just taught you a little while ago, but I'll explain it here in a bit, whether it's just being that way or whether it's trying to stay continued on what are things that are happening for me as a licensed professional counselor in the world of the American Counseling Association, trying to stay up to date on those things, trying to stay up to date on articles and journal reflections and just things as a clinician. I think it's made me too just better as a adjunct faculty because I've had to continue to be up to date. I can't just lean on this PowerPoint that I made 4 years ago. I got to stay up to date on things because I need it for the show and I need it for my students every year to make sure that they're getting the best information possible. I also feel really grateful for people that just listen to the show and say that it's been helpful. I mean, that's pretty fucking cool. We still get messages and comments and people reaching out to us, getting emails of just like the show and people wanting to be on the show or wanting to connect and things like that. I think that's pretty cool, especially to start from zero, right? When we first started 6 years ago. So yeah, off the top of my head, we'll go with that because I want to hear what you have to say.
Similar to where this has been such an amazing teaching tool for me as well, where for a lot of our episodes, we go through the DSM criteria, we talk about specific examples, we learn a lot about this as we're teaching it, and helps us be current. I, for some reason, have found myself in conversations with friends and family. They'll ask me a question and be like, what do you think about, AI therapy? What do you think about X, Y, and Z, social media stuff? And I'll be like, actually, I just did a podcast episode on this. So if you want to go back and listen to the episode, then I don't actually have to answer. But it's been a great way to keep up on things. And it's been a great way to keep up this friendship too. It's been such a cool way to just check in every couple of weeks, see how things are going in your life. And it just feels like, this connection that we have is one of the things that makes this show kind of neat.
Oh, stop it. That's funny. No, I 100% agree. In the beginning, it was definitely like, probably would keep it to myself that we had a podcast, only because this is just like new. It wasn't like we're still figuring things out. I'm still figuring things out. Now it's like, we, like you said, we just did an episode on it. But to the other side of it, if someone brings up something or they ask something, I feel more equipped to talk about something because like, we just talked about this. I have information that I probably just learned from you, and now I can share this with somebody else, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a great learning tool for everyone, for us included, and hopefully the listeners too. Hopefully they learn something, and it's not just us laughing the whole time. That's all they hear.
There was a comment that I told you this. Someone left us a review that we laughed too much. I was like, that's the whole fucking point.
Yeah. I'm trying to make talking about mental health fun and not so serious, because so many mental health shows are they're not very fun to listen to. They're either way too casual or way too scientific, and we just wanted a happy medium where you get good evidence and just actually enjoy listening to it.
Oh, I hate when mental health content gets way too is trivialized the right word? It makes it way too did you know if you like the color red, then blah, blah. I'm like, fuck you. I hate that. People, I mean, sure, we'd love for our stuff to continue to reach other people and go viral, whatever. But people will make TikToks and other things that just for the purpose of that pop psychology stuff. And I think it's such a detriment to our degrees and our hard work of that's all that you're putting out there. I hate that shit so much.
And we see it all the time, especially because we get a lot of mental health content on our Instagram page. And half of it's just people looking for clicks, trying to relate to people and say things like ADHD and autism are things that they are not.
Yes.
And I just, and I see, it seems like those two diagnoses are the ones that get the most traction on social media stuff, where you see people, if you do this, that means you probably have autism. And it's 90% of people have that. What are you talking about? That's just Just trying to get people interested for the sake of popularity and clicks, which is something I know that, we kind of struggle with that balance of too, or half of our message and my whole TED Talk was about how like, hey, less social media, less technology. And then we're like, find us on social media and technology.
Yeah.
It's a weird balance.
We at least acknowledge it. I think that's important. But speaking of social media, we have to talk about how much that shit has changed in the last 6 years.
Yes.
I don't even know where to start. Where do you want to start?
TikTok.
I fucking love TikTok. No, you go first.
Well, I remember during COVID sitting with my wife on the couch and just hearing the same sound clips over and over and over again. Like, what are you watching it? And why is it so repetitive?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it was TikTok. And that was really when it started taking off. And the more we learned about social media and the algorithms of social media is that they are specifically designed to try and keep you as locked in on those apps as possible. And man, I see it so many times with my young patients where, they'll tell me that they only get, I only get like 5 hours, 6 hours of sleep a night. I'm like, well, what are you doing all night? They're like, oh, TikTok. And I'm just like, you are sleep depriving yourself by 3 hours every night just sitting on your phone. Like, people don't understand how terrible that is for your mental health and how terrible it is for your body image, your depression, your anxiety, like so many different things. And I think in moderation, it can be an okay thing, but I've mentioned it on the show in the past that in China, where TikTok was created, that the government very much regulates what can go on to TikTok. They regulate the amount of time that people can use on it, especially young people, every single day. They know it's not good for you and it's not healthy for you, but they shipped it off to the American kids and said, have fun, and we're starting to realize. And it's not just TikTok, it's all social media. But TikTok seems to be the most addictive algorithm at this point. That, yes, this is not great for young people or older people, really.
Yeah. I mean, shit, I use TikTok every day. I love funny videos. I was a big Vine fan back in the day. You remember Vine? Yeah. And so I think that definitely tickles a part of my brain that's important to me or that I enjoy. But for sure, I mean, I think I can try and sit here and give all the positives of TikTok to outweigh the negatives. Like, I find that's how I fix the fan in my bathroom. That's how I can find shit like that. But there's also shit that just makes me laugh, right? And that's like the biggest piece of it. But for sure, I mean, I think there's kind of two pieces of, we can at least acknowledge this. Like, when TikTok really started to blow up, and we've talked about this too on the show, like around the 2019, 2020, 2021, one of the redeeming factors of TikTok was that there was a lot of realness of it. Like there was people being authentic and real and like putting that kind of content out. So it was the kind of start of that. So that was really good and that was positive, but for sure, I mean, like people were on their phones a ton, using it a ton. But like you said, that kind of goes for all social media. There's a lot of social media use going on, and it's just increased definitely over the last 6 years. Things like the Facebook, it's not cool anymore, right? People really aren't using that. Snapchat somehow has continued to just be around, which I thought it was going to die at some point, but it's like a main communication method for teens right now, and like
they
people just they love it, chatting, whatever, just connecting that way, adding what's your snap, stuff like that. Like it still somehow has withstood the test of time. But social media has definitely taken, I mean, it seems to be like the main form of communication for a lot of our kids right now, instead of text or phone call or FaceTime. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, there was a good NPR piece on the radio recently where it was talking about cell phone bans in schools, which we did a podcast episode on it.
Sure did.
But it was talking about, there was a school principal, and he was on there saying, when I was a kid, you couldn't get us to shut up in the lunchroom. We were talking, we were joking, we were playing games. And he says when he looks at his lunchroom now, it's everyone just with their heads down on their phones. And it's like, there's an element of missing out on life when you're just on your phone all the time. And, my wife always says it like this, like on your gravestone, do you want like it to say all the things you were, all the places you went, or just how many hours you spent on your phone? Like, what is more important in this life? And it's so easy to get sucked into the phone and just spend hours and hours and hours. I think my record is, because I'm always checking my patients' screen time apps, I think my record was 13 hours in one day.
Oh,
that someone was on their phone. It's like, how's that even possible?
Charging a phone a lot that day.
I know, I just have it plugged in all the time.
That's rough. Yeah. I mean, other pieces social media wise, for a little bit, we had something that seemed to maybe compete with the idea of these like perfection highlight reels on social media. I had to teach Justin about this about 35 minutes ago before we started recording. But Be Real was a thing, and I think it's kind of died out now. And I might be messing it up, but essentially it was this social media app. You still had followers, you followed people, but I think each day the app would tell you it's time to like be real, or it's time for your Be Real. And you essentially were supposed to just take a picture of what you were doing in that moment. And not only did it capture a picture of you, but it used both lenses basically. So the front facing camera and the back facing camera. But it was an opportunity for people to not, and I don't think you could edit the picture. I think it just posted. And so it was an opportunity for people to just kind of like sit in the discomfort of not posting a highlight reel anymore and just posting something real and being real for a little bit. I think it's since lost its purpose since then. I think I've heard there's like ads and stuff on it now. You can post on it even when it's not time. You can skip the time. It's a whole thing. It's not what it used to be, but in this kind of like capitalist society where I'm sure the creators of it were really excited to make some money from it, it is what it is. But that was another thing I kind of came and went. The other big piece that we should mention is the Surgeon General and issuing a warning just on the use of social media use in teens, right? Like that was a pretty big deal. You and I had both seen that when it came out. So that's kind of another big thing with social media, and just really the ebb and flow, but maybe the mainly negative piece of social media, even though you and I both use it, hasn't been the greatest on us in our generation, on older generations, but very specifically on the younger generations like Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Yeah, and it's become such a pervasive part in our lives, and how Trump's pick for the Surgeon General was essentially an influencer, right, that never completed her residency. And to go from Vivek Murthy, the previous administration, who was the one who put that warning out about social media, he was awesome. Yeah. I really loved everything that he came out with. He spoke incredibly well. And then to go from that to an influencer who's just like peddling her own ideas and not actually like science-backed stuff is always a little bit concerning. But hey, yeah, So just be careful what you read online, and be careful. If someone's trying to sell you something, they always have an ulterior motive. So just be careful with influencers and especially health influencers. It's always someone trying to sell you, oh, there is a hole in your life. I can sell you the thing that's going to make you complete. And I'm going to sell you the thing that's going to make you happy. It's my program. It's my product. It's my vitamins. It's my supplements. It's always something. And so you just have to take everything with a grain of salt that you see on social media in terms of health information.
Yes. Some other things. What are some other things we've noticed in the last 6 years? I wrote down digital mental health tools. What's your take on that? What have you noticed?
I've got a lot of patients who use like the I Am Sober app and some cool different apps to track their progress, some different apps to try and just be able to express their feelings and emotions in a better way. People using their phones for art, poetry, journaling. So like a lot of really cool stuff. So it's not all bad. And, people always say, in some of the comments on my YouTube video for my TED Talk, I was like, well, phones aren't all bad. It's like, that's not what I was arguing at all. Phones can be really good. Yeah. Like they can be really great. And sometimes people are really creative with how they use them to address their mental health. How about yourself? Do you see any cool uses?
I mean, for sure. I mean, like things like the Calm app, things like just meditation in general, guided meditation, even things like on YouTube, you can find kind of anything that could be mental health wise or just health and wellness wise. you go back to COVID, and not a lot of people were able to go to the gym, and people being able to find people on like YouTube or TikTok to provide them with like at home workouts. I was always a little skeptical of like what is it, like apps or platforms that were on strictly online for like therapy, but that's where I found my therapist. So maybe I need to reel back my skepticism a little bit. But for sure, we've talked about it. Technology and social media is not all bad. There's a lot of not great things, but it's not all bad. It's important we acknowledge that.
And on our script here too, it says AI as a talking point.
Yeah, yeah.
To summarize our episode on AI, is that it probably will be a cool thing in the future to do like an AI assisted therapy, but right now it seems like not a good idea.
No.
Just wait till we work out some kinks first.
Yeah. Well, and just in general, the use of AI, right? How like it's pretty damaging to the environment, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's not always like you're not always getting the right information. I think Kevin mentioned this the other day. I couldn't remember who she was talking to or what it specifically, but like AI and ChatGPT is like kind of made to agree with you. And so like taking that into account when you're taking the information that it gives you and like taking that at face value. Yeah, AI tools can be great. I mean, I work for a school district. I think a lot of school districts use Google Workspace, and a lot of, Google Workspace now comes with Gemini. It's Google's kind of competitor to ChatGPT, and there's just a lot of like AI features that are coming out that do make things easier. We talked about it, you've used it like for note taking and like summarizing. I've used it for summarizing articles and helpful information that I need. So it can be great, but it's so early. We're really not going to know like the negatives of it for a little bit of time.
Yeah. And from a mental health standpoint, try not to get your companionship from AI.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
Just not right now. Like maybe sure in the future if it gets better, why not? Yeah, I'm open to I don't want to be robophobic, but in the future it might be a good thing. But right now it just seems like, and I read a couple articles about this recently, that there is a divide between men and women, heterosexual men and women, and it seems like what they want is completely different out of relationships, and online dating has made a complete shift in what is normal for relationships, and it seems like more and more people are turning towards AI for that companionship and that romantic connection. And I don't know, I say keep fighting in the real world for something you can find with someone who's got a pulse.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it too, and maybe this could be the last thing we mentioned about AI, but the teen boy, and I think this has happened again, but the teen boy who died by suicide after getting companionship from ChatGPT, and like how that was just not a positive relationship in their life. So I don't know, to be continued, I think, on the AI, but that's ramped up so much in the last however many years, even in the last year. It's wild.
It's like Facebook's original motto was "Go fast and break things." It's like that's exactly what AI is doing right now. It's going fast and it's breaking things.
Yeah, it is. It is. Another thing, this is kind of smaller, but I think it's still cool, and you might not even know about this. For a while, the Suicide Lifeline, like the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, was a long number. I don't even know the number off the top of my head. But recently, in the last 2 years, I think it was summer 2024. Feel free to fact check me.
Okay.
They moved to 988. So similar to 911, it's now a 3-digit number that you can call, and you can get connected directly to the Lifeline and support. And I think like 911, it'll get you connected specifically to resources that are near you. So I know in Portland area, if you call 988, you get sent to Lines for Life, which is our suicide prevention lifeline here in the Portland metro area. So very cool that they moved it to a way more attainable and easy to remember number. Did you fact check me? What do we got?
No, I think I was actually just looking up something completely unrelated that I was going to make a joke about later.
We're good. I'm ready for it.
I was just going to say, in the past 6 years, a lot has changed, and the world has changed in a lot of different ways, but the Raiders still suck.
God damn it, dude. We made the playoffs once. That's why I'm wearing the hat. We're never giving up. We're staying loyal.
Never give up. That's what I love about you, Eddie. You are very loyal to your team. And, I mean, the Broncos have been bad for 9 years straight too. But this is like the first time that they haven't completely.
Just
sucked.
wait. We're gonna do some bullshit and win this weekend against the Broncos for no reason at all, and it's just gonna mess up our ability to get like the number 1 draft pick. We would do something dumb like that. Let me tell you.
Well, Raiders always play the Broncos hard. Even when the Broncos are a good team and the Raiders are not a good team, the Raiders always still play hard, and it's never an easy win. On that note, let's get the hell out of here.
I mean, yeah, we had some other things. We'll just make them nice and quick. I mean, mental health disorders. I mean, this was happening before COVID, but the prevalence of poor mental health, anxiety, depression, it's increased significantly. Not in just adults, but in teenagers too. Again, this was happening before COVID, but the pandemic definitely ramped it up. For Justin and I, specifically working with adolescents, with kids, with teens, there's just been a surge in mental health issues among Gen Z, Gen Alpha. We know that for sure. And then definitely just the disproportionate impact that mental health challenges have had on certain groups, young adults, women, marginalized communities. Those have all ramped up too. Those were trending upward already, but the last 6 years, those have ramped up for sure. I don't want to say exponentially, because someone might fact check me on that and say that it's not exponential yet, but it's increased a lot. But on that note, thank you for 6 years. Thank you all for being here. Man, what an episode. That was fun. That was a longer one. I like that.
Yeah, felt good to be back.
Yeah. I'll see you in a couple weeks. We can do that, right?
Yeah, I think
we're
so.
Still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'll be around.
To play it out, you know the drill. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can find us there. Wherever else you get your podcasts. On social media, but don't use it too much. At Millennial MHC. You can check out our website, millennialmhc.com. You can email us, millennialmhchannel@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening. Again, thank you for 6 years. Shout out to Sword Health. Shout out to the team in Portugal. Thank you for loving us and taking care of us. And remember, take care of y'all mentals.